everyone, and welcome to part 2 of the super awesome Eeveelutions Pokexplanations video. If you have not watched part 1, please click here to do so. If you would like to skip ahead to your favorite Eeveelution, please click here. I will be going over Espeon, Umbreon, Leafeon, and Glacial in that order. So please click there or here to watch the first part of the video, and you'll be taken back here at the end of that one. Alright, so welcome back everyone to part 2 of the super special Eeveelutions Pokexplanations episode. Thank you guys for, well, I explained all that in the last video. I'm not going to do it again. So let's begin with Espeon and its definitions. Gold version. It uses the fine hairs that cover its body to sense air currents and predict the enemy's action. Crystal version. The tip of its forked tail quivers when it is predicting its opponent's next move. Emerald version. An Espeon is extremely loyal to any trainer it deems worthy. It is said to have developed precognitive powers to protect its trainer from harm. And Diamond and Pearl versions. Its fur has the look and feel of velvet. The orb on its head glows when it uses its psycho power. So I think we pretty well determined what Espeon's effect on the real world is going to be in its gold definition. Is that it can predict air currents, which means it can predict the weather, and it's not element specific, so it's not going to detect just one kind of weather like Vaporeon, Jolteon, and the rest. It's going to be able to predict weather in general. So let's move away from the moment. We'll go ahead and come back around to that. And looking at the rest of its definitions throughout Crystal, Emerald, and Diamond and Pearl, really it would make an excellent pet too, in addition to having the whole predict the weather kind of thing with its psychic power. This thing is very loyal to its trainer. Unlike the rest of Eevee's evolutions, it has very soft fur. So in conclusion, this is a very well-rounded Pokemon, I have to say, because it's, I would say, a very powerful psychic Pokemon, but it's not quite as powerful as, say, an Alakazam, or I would go as far as to say even a Kadabra, if we want to compare it to anything. It gets that deep bond with its trainer, its master, whatever you like to call it, and it will do anything to protect it. Unfortunately, as far as combat is concerned, it's very predictable if you know anything about it. As we read in the Crystal and Diamond and Pearl definitions, the jewel on its head will begin to glow faintly as it prepares to use a psychic attack. So you know what it's about to do, and if it's thinking about its opponent, which I would hope it would be, its tail will twitch. So it's a very predictable fighter, but I'm going to go out here and say a very good one. So in conclusion, Espeon would be a very useful Pokemon to have, both as far as predicting the weather and as far as a pet, because it's very loyal and very defensive, and it's not element specific, so it can depict weather in general. Now, whether that is a heightened sense because of its psychic power, or if it's just a weakened, overall kind of spread out kind of sense about the weather, I can't tell because Nintendo hasn't released information like that yet. So let's move from Eevee's Generation 2 Psychic type evolution and move to its Generation 2 Dark type evolution. And oh, this is going to be so much fun to do. Oh, I was doing research on this thing. Oh, you'll see. You will see. So yes, Umbreon. Let's jump straight into its definitions. Gold version. When agitated, this Pokemon protects itself by spraying poisonous sweat from its pores. Silver. When darkness falls, the rings on its body begin to glow, striking fear in the hearts of anyone nearby. Emerald version. Umbreon evolved from exposure to the moon's energy pulses. It lurks in darkness and waits for its foes to move. The rings on its body glow when it leaps to attack. And finally, Platinum version. When exposed to the moon's aura, the rings on its body glow faintly and it gains a mysterious power. Alright, so to be perfectly honest with you guys, I knew next to nothing about Umbreon before I started researching it to do this episode. And when I started reading about it, I was like, oh, this thing is an absolute beast! And it really is. I'd like to go ahead and point out that if you came from part 1, go ahead and go watch that. The link was over here to start this video, scroll back through, go watch that thing. I want to point out that it's like a Jolteon, but it can't do electric attacks, and it's a lot more ferocious. It's not easily startled, as it is more of a hunter. This thing still has the aggression of a Jolteon, but it seems like it's a lot better at controlling it. It knows when to use it. And it it knows exactly how to, I know I've said this already, but hunt. It knows how to stalk its prey, and because of all those facts, I would like to point out that yes, you should be absolutely terrified if you see the rings on an Umbreon, because that means there's one there and it is hunting, it is hungry, it is on the prowl for something to kill. And I like that about it. And we first read this in the gold version description that it still has a defense mechanism that if it is ever threatened, it will ooze this poisonous kind of slime out of its pores. So that really threw me for a loop for a minute, because I thought, wait a minute, isn't this a dark type? Poison, what? But no. Jolteon, again, was the base for this thing. It just doesn't carry an electrical charge. It's still got the defense mechanism a lot like Jolteon has its spikes. So, to summarize Umbreon, I'm going to have to say that a more ferocious and not electrically charged Jolteon. So I'm going to say the same thing in summary that I said with Jolteon, that this thing wouldn't change our world, our lives, any more than the average wolf would. Unless, you know, you're some hiker out there in the woods and you see an Umbreon light up right behind you or next to you or somewhere, and you're like, oh, I'm so dead. You know, then, you know, that's your life and not really. So let's move from Generation 2 all the way to Generation 4 with Leafeon. So let us begin with its descriptions. Diamond and Pearl version. Just like a plant, it uses photosynthesis. As a result, it is always enveloped in clean air. Platinum version. It basically does not fight. Its cells are similar to a plant's. Not a lot to say about Leafeon, though something did strike my mind. Its descriptions say it is more like a plant, and I want to ask to what extent, because plants do not have bones, they have cell structures. These cell structures are what hold them up. Cell structures are what make the stem, since it does not have any bones. I want to know, does Leafeon have bones? Is it an animal or plant? It does photosynthesis, and it said if you go on Cerebi and read, you'll hear that, I didn't include this because I did not feel it was new information, that if it is sleeping in direct sunlight, it's more actively producing clean air. It is better in performing photosynthesis if it is asleep and in direct sunlight. So about the only thing I see Leafeon being good for, since it is not a combat-worthy Pokemon. I mean, it was pretty strong in the games, I found anyway. Its descriptions say it's not, so I'm going to go with that. To summarize Leafeon, I'd have to say that the only way it would be really world-changing is if you got a bunch of them, and I just say a bunch because I don't know how much clean air they're actually able to produce. If you got a bunch of them in, say, a greenhouse or some kind of open-air factory, if that makes any sense, a glass top factory of some sort where they can get direct sunlight, where you can just manufacture clean air constantly from these Pokemon. And that's about it. And I really see that being something a lot bigger than it sounds like. And I don't know really how to put that into better terms. Okay, so we move on from Leafeon, the non-violent little cute little plant thing, to Glacial, the, you guessed it, Jolteon ripoff again. I really like Jolteon, you know that. Pokemon people really like Jolteon. So let's get right into reading this about Glacial, Diamond version. As a protective technique, it can completely freeze its fur to make its hair stand like needles. That doesn't sound familiar at all. Platinum version. By controlling its body heat, it can freeze the atmosphere around it to make a diamond dust flurry. So the diamond description, we really know that already from Jolteon. As I just said, the Pokemon people really like Jolteon. So they had to bring something back, and they decided to do it with ice. The Platinum description is really the only thing that sets it apart from the rest of the Eeveelutions. Because if this thing lives in a snowy environment and it constantly produces these diamond dust kind of flurries around it, you get in like a blizzard, which I would imagine is its primary environment for because that's the reason it evolved. It's incredibly low temperatures and it had to have a way to regulate itself. If it kept making these flurries around it in a very high snow environment, high ice, high blizzard environment, just wintry mix kind of area, you really would not be able to see it. That Pokemon would be invisible as far as you are concerned. So it's got excellent camouflage. I don't see it being much of a hunter. It has a defense mechanism with it being able to freeze its fur and make it needles like Jolteon. So this is another one of those Pokemon like Vaporeon, really, that can it can exist, but at the same time you will never know it does because of its camouflage. So I really see no world or life-changing effects there. It can't be used as like a snow dog or anything. So I don't know. Glacial really doesn't have an effect on us. But that concludes today's episode of Pokexplanations. If you enjoyed this video, please like, favorite, and comment. I greatly enjoy your feedback and I read every single comment I get. If you're feeling wild, go ahead and make a video response talking about your favorite Eeveelution, or just leave me a comment about it. I'd like to hear that. And of course, if you have any suggestions about a Pokemon I should review in the future, please leave it as a comment below as well. I like to keep the show as user run as possible, so any suggestions you have, any at all, go ahead and leave a comment down below. I greatly appreciate it, and I read every comment I get like I just said, and I will catch you guys later.